The Empire's ships were massive, their dark hulls glinting ominously in the distant stars. They had come to destroy a single human ship, but Captain Carter was not going to make it easy for them. As the battle raged on, Varnak, the Empire's commander, grew increasingly frustrated. "Why can't we hit that ship?" he roared, slamming his fist on the console. His officers exchanged worried glances. They had expected an easy victory, but the little human ship was proving to be a tough opponent. "Reinforce our firepower! Target that ship!" Varnak commanded, his anger boiling over. The Empire's ships moved in closer, surrounding the vanguard. "Captain, they're trying to trap us!" yelled Leo, the pilot. "We need to get out of here!" Carter's mind raced. She quickly glanced at the ship's readouts, calculating their next move. "We can't let them corner us. Prepare to execute a high-speed maneuver. We'll break through their formation." The crew nodded, their hearts pounding in unison. They trusted Carter's instincts. As the enemy ships tightened their grip, the vanguard suddenly surged forward, bursting through the line of Imperial ships. The crew cheered as they escaped the trap, but the battle was far from over. "Now let's show them what we can do," Carter shouted. She turned the ship around and engaged their weapons. With one swift motion, she ordered the crew to fire at the nearest enemy ship. Bright beams of energy shot from the vanguard, striking true. The Imperial ship shuddered and exploded in a brilliant flash, sending debris flying in all directions. The Empire's fleet was thrown into chaos. Varnak's eyes widened in disbelief. "What is happening?" "That ship is destroying us!" he yelled in shock. Carter's heart raced as she saw the effect of their counterattack. The humans were not just surviving, they were fighting back with strength and skill. The vanguard danced through the stars, avoiding enemy fire and landing shots on enemy ships with deadly accuracy. "Keep firing!" Carter commanded, her voice strong and confident. The crew worked together, their teamwork shining as they took down another enemy ship. Hope filled the air. They could win this battle! As the battle continued, the Empire's ships grew more desperate. One by one, they fell to the might of the vanguard. Varnak watched in horror as his fleet crumbled. "Retreat! Retreat!" he shouted, but it was too late. The human ship had made its mark. With the last of the Empire's ships fleeing into the darkness of space, the crew of the vanguard erupted into cheers. They had done the impossible. They had fought back and won against the elite fleet of the Galactic Empire. Captain Carter smiled, a mix of pride and relief washing over her. "We did it! But this is just the beginning. We must prepare for what comes next," she said, her eyes shining with determination. As they celebrated their victory, the crew knew they had ignited a spark of hope across the galaxy. They had shown that humans could stand up to the mighty Empire. And in that moment, they realized they were no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the future of humanity. The victory of the vanguard against the Galactic Empire's elite fleet sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Captain Elena Carter and her crew had proven that a single human ship could stand up to the might of the Empire. As news of their triumph spread, many began to wonder if they could join the fight against the Empire, inspired by the bravery of Captain Carter. After the battle, the crew gathered on the bridge of the vanguard. The atmosphere was charged with excitement and energy. Carter looked at her team, seeing the determination in their eyes. "We did something amazing today," she said, her voice strong, "but we need to prepare for what comes next. The Empire will not take this defeat lightly." Leo, the pilot, nodded. "They'll send more ships after us. We need to be ready." The crew agreed, knowing that their small victory had put a target on their backs. "Let's send a message," Mia, the weapons officer, suggested. "We should let other humans know what we've achieved. Maybe they will want to fight too." Carter smiled at the idea. "Great thinking, Mia. Let's broadcast our victory across the galaxy. We need every willing person to join us in this fight." The crew got to work immediately. They sent out messages to nearby planets, sharing their story and asking for help. Carter felt a surge of hope as they communicated their needs for support. They didn't just want soldiers, they needed ships, resources, and more people ready to stand up against the Empire. As the days passed, messages came back from various planets. Some responded with excitement, eager to help, while others were afraid. Many feared the Empire's wrath. But among the replies, Carter found one that caught her attention. It was from a colony on a nearby planet called New Haven. "Captain," Mia said, looking at the screen, "New Haven wants to send a group of fighters to join us. They've been preparing for this moment for a long time." "Excellent!" Carter replied. "We need all the support we can get. Set a course for New Haven." With a determined heart, the Vanguard flew through the stars towards New Haven. The crew was buzzing with energy. They knew that this was a crucial moment for humanity. If they could gather enough support, they could challenge the Empire more effectively. When they arrived at New Haven, the atmosphere was filled with tension. Many ships were lined up in the docking bay, waiting to join the fight. The humans there were ready to stand alongside Captain Carter and her crew. As they disembarked, Carter was met by a group of fighters led by a man named Commander Tarek. He was tall and strong with a confident demeanor. "We've heard of your victory," he said, shaking Carter's hand firmly. "We want to join you in this fight against the Empire." Carter smiled, feeling a strong bond forming. "Together we can show the Empire that humanity will not back down." The New Haven fighters quickly joined the crew of the Vanguard, and soon the ship was filled with new faces and fresh energy. Each member brought unique skills and experiences. They trained together, learning to operate as one unit. The small crew transformed into a powerful force, ready to face the Empire head-on. Days turned into weeks as they prepared. They practiced combat maneuvers, honed their strategies, and built camaraderie. Carter noticed how the crew's confidence grew. They were no longer just individuals, they were a team united by a common cause. One day, as they trained, Leo approached Carter with a worried expression. "Captain, what if the Empire attacks us while we're still preparing? We could be vulnerable." Carter nodded, understanding his concern. "We need to be vigilant. Let's set up scouts to keep watch. We can't let our guard down." With their defenses in place, the crew remained focused and determined. They were ready to face whatever the Empire had in store for them. As they trained and prepared, hope swelled in their hearts. They knew they were part of something bigger than themselves. Together, they were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for the future of humanity. With every passing day, they felt stronger, knowing they would face the Empire as one united force. As they looked out into the vastness of space, Captain Carter and her crew knew the time would soon come when they would confront the Empire again. And this time they would not be alone. The time had come. After weeks of training and preparation, Captain Elena Carter and her crew were ready to face the Galactic Empire in a decisive battle. Their small fleet of ships, now united with fighters from New Haven, gathered in the cold void of space. Each ship glimmered like a star, reflecting the determination of the people aboard. Carter stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, her heart racing with excitement and nerves. "Today we show the Empire that humans will not back down," she announced to her crew. Cheers erupted around her, echoing the spirit of unity and bravery that filled the air. Commander Tarek, the leader of the New Haven fighters, stepped forward. "We have the advantage of surprise. The Empire won't expect a united front. Let's make every moment count." His voice was strong, rallying the crew even further. As the ships took their positions, Carter glanced at the tactical display. The Empire's fleet loomed on the horizon, a dark wave threatening to engulf them. Their ships were massive and intimidating, but Carter felt a fire in her heart. She knew they had something the Empire did not: determination and the will to fight for their freedom. "On my mark, we move in," Carter said, her eyes locked on the enemy. The crew nodded, ready for her command. The moment came. "Now! Charge!" she shouted. With that command, the Vanguard and the other ships surged forward, racing into battle. The space erupted into chaos as laser blasts lit up the darkness. The Vanguard danced through the enemy fire, weaving and dodging while returning fire with deadly precision. The crew worked seamlessly together, their training paying off as they targeted the Empire's ships. Mia, the weapons officer, shouted, "Captain! We've locked onto an enemy cruiser." "Firing now!" Bright beams shot from the Vanguard, striking true and causing the cruiser to shudder. Explosions echoed through space as the Empire's ships began to fall. Varnak, the Empire's commander, watched in disbelief. "How can this be happening?" "We outnumber them," he yelled at his officers. But no amount of numbers could compare to the spirit of the united human fleet. As the battle raged on, the Vanguard took some hits. Alarms blared as the ship shook from a nearby explosion. "Captain, our shields are weakening!" Leo, the pilot, called out. "Divert power from non-essential systems." "We can't let them break through!" Carter shouted, gripping the control panel tightly. The crew's training was pushed to the limits, but they pressed on, determined not to let their ship fall. The tide of battle began to shift in favor of the humans. They were holding their ground, and the Empire's fleet was struggling to keep up with their fierce resistance. Carter's heart swelled with pride as she saw her crew working together, fighting not just for themselves but for all of humanity. Suddenly, an enemy ship broke through the lines and targeted the vanguard. "They're coming right for us!" Mia yelled, her eyes wide with fear. "Brace for impact!" Carter commanded. The crew held on as the ship rocked violently, but their shields held strong. The Empire's ship continued to fire, but Carter was determined. "Return fire! Show them we are not afraid." With one decisive move, Carter ordered the ship to execute a high-speed maneuver, flanking the enemy ship. "Now! Fire!" she shouted. The crew unleashed a powerful barrage, destroying the enemy ship in a brilliant explosion. Cheers erupted from the crew, but Carter knew they couldn't celebrate yet. "Stay focused! We're not done!" As the battle wore on, the Empire began to falter. Their ships were losing power, and their formations broke apart. Seeing their chance, Carter shouted, "Let's finish this! Target their command ship!" The crew rallied, their spirits high as they turned their weapons toward the Empire's flagship. The vanguard unleashed a barrage of fire, striking the command ship directly. It shuddered and exploded, sending debris spiraling into space. With the command ship destroyed, the Empire's forces panicked and began to retreat. Carter felt a rush of triumph. "We did it! We drove them away." As the remaining Empire ships fled, the crew of the vanguard erupted into cheers. They had won a decisive battle, proving to themselves and the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. Captain Carter looked around at her crew, filled with pride and gratitude. "This is just the beginning. Together we can change the fate of humanity." In that moment, they knew they had ignited a spark of hope in the galaxy. The fight for freedom was far from over, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The battle was over, but the effects would be felt for a long time. Captain Elna Carter and her crew of the Vanguard stood together on the bridge, watching the stars through the viewports. The Galactic Empire had retreated, leaving behind a trail of destruction, but also a sense of hope and triumph among the human fleet. As the crew celebrated their victory, news of their success spread like wildfire across the galaxy. People from different planets sent messages of congratulations and support. "We did it!" Mia, the weapons officer, shouted as she hugged Leo, the pilot. "We showed them what we're made of." Carter smiled at her crew, feeling proud. This victory is not just ours, it belongs to everyone who believes in freedom. She knew their fight against the Empire was far from over, but this battle had ignited something powerful in the hearts of people everywhere. Days passed, and the crew began to regroup and plan for the future. They received many messages from other human colonies and planets wanting to join their cause. Commander Tarek and his New Haven fighters stayed with them, eager to build on their momentum. Together, they started to form a larger alliance, uniting different human factions against the Empire. One day, during a meeting in the conference room, Tarek stood up to speak. "We have a chance to rally more support. We should hold a summit to bring together all the colonies. We need to show them that we can stand together against the Empire." His eyes sparkled with determination, and the crew nodded in agreement. Carter took a deep breath, feeling the weight of leadership. "I agree. We need to unite our people. Let's set a date for the summit and invite everyone." The crew cheered, energized by the plan. They knew this was a critical step in their fight for freedom. As the days turned into weeks, the Vanguard became a hub of activity. The crew worked tirelessly to prepare for the summit, designing invitations and organizing logistics. They also trained new recruits who came to join their cause. The ship was alive with energy and purpose. On the day of the summit, many ships arrived, filling the space around the Vanguard. Representatives from various human colonies gathered to share their stories and experiences. Captain Carter welcomed them with a warm smile, grateful for their courage to come together. "Thank you for being here today," Carter began. "Together, we have shown that we can defeat the Empire. But we must remain united. We can only win this fight if we stand together." The crowd erupted in applause, inspired by her words. During the summit, people shared their thoughts and ideas. Some spoke of strategies, while others talked about the resources they could bring. There was a strong sense of hope and determination in the air. It was clear that they were ready to fight back against the Empire and take control of their destinies. As the summit came to a close, Carter felt a sense of pride in what they had accomplished. They had laid the groundwork for a strong alliance, and the legacy of their victory was beginning to take shape. The stories of their bravery would spread far and wide, inspiring more to join their fight. In the following months, the alliance grew stronger. The humans began to launch more attacks against the Empire, striking key targets and gaining control of several important systems. Each victory brought them closer to their goal of freedom. Carter often reflected on how far they had come since that fateful battle. They had started as a small crew on a single ship, but now they were part of something much larger. The legacy of their fight was becoming a beacon of hope for those oppressed by the Empire. As the crew of the Vanguard prepared for their next mission, Carter stood on the bridge, gazing out into the stars. "We've only just begun," she whispered to herself. The battle for freedom was still ahead, but she knew they had the strength to face it. The aftermath of their victory had changed the course of history. They were no longer just individuals fighting against a powerful enemy. They were a united force ready to challenge the Galactic Empire. With each step they took, they built a legacy of courage, determination, and hope. And as long as there were people willing to fight for their freedom, their story would continue to inspire generations to come.